Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of the Car Dealership Podcast, the podcast for automotive professionals. In this episode, I'm joined by Miguel Michiels, Chief Operational Officer of AutoChat. Enjoy this episode. Hi, Miguel. Welcome to the Car Dealership Podcast.
Hello, Martin. Nice of you to invite me.
Yeah, of course. Of course, easy as a colleague, of course. It's
Exactly.
the most easy invite ever, I think.
That's true. But still very happy to be here.
Absolutely. So could you tell the listeners about who is Miguel?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Miguel Michiels. I'm the COO here at AutoChat. I started now 10 months ago. And my background has been in the automotive, I think now for around 12 years. I didn't start off my career in the automotive as a lot of people do. I actually started at one of the big four at EY. And after that, I moved to Atlas Copco, which is a big Belgian company in the compressor business. And I was at the time working in the pricing department. I was a pricing analyst, and one day I got a call from LeasePlan, the leasing company now Avens in the meantime, and they asked me if I would want to become a pricing manager for the Belgian market. And actually, never having been a car guy, I said, yeah, fine. And I joined the leasing business, being the commercial pricing manager, and that's actually where I fell in love a bit with the car business. And some of my friends, they still laugh with me because before my time at LeasePlan, I probably couldn't tell a Audi from a BMW, but that changed quickly. And at LeasePlan, I was part of the, let's say, the commercial management together with the commercial managers, and we set out the commercial strategy for LeasePlan Belgium.
Yeah. What were your main tasks when you were working on the pricing team?
So you always have the risk department in these leasing companies, and they do everything with the residual value, with the maintenance budgets, and so on. And my task was actually to provide a commercial layer on that. So that means that I was working with the discounts that could be given. I was doing the tenders. And together with some of the commercial managers, we were looking at how we would want to place LeasePlan in the Belgian market as a competitor. It's a highly commoditized business, so we always look for ways to diversify ourselves in terms of offering, also in terms of pricing. And I think one of the main things that we did was set up private lease in the Belgian market. Obviously, in the Netherlands, it's quite known. In Belgium at the time, it was not. So we did these big actions with media markets, and I think that was quite successful at the time.
Yeah, exactly. But in the end, when you were working at LeasePlan, you also did the Carnext project. So how did that go from going from the pricing team to Carnext?
So I've always been a bit into entrepreneurship. I used to have businesses on the side. When after my studies, I had a business with a friend of mine where we sold a lot of gadgets. We, for example, also brought the first selfie stick to Belgium before it was known, and we distributed it to a lot of big companies in Belgium. So at LeasePlan, I think they knew that I always had this entrepreneurial side. At the time when LeasePlan was taken over by TDR, TDR decided that they wanted to set up a new business unit within their remarketing department. Traditionally, LeasePlan always, let's say, sold the cars end of contract via auctions, but they saw some potential in a retail channel, and this retail channel became later known as Carnext, by Carnext.com, in fact. And they asked me to set up this business for the Belgian and for the Luxembourg market. And to be fair, at the time, I was not really sure what that would be, how that would look. And I started up together with our operations, the remarketing director at that time, Jo Torkes. And it was basically from zero. So for me, that was quite an entrepreneurial business in the sense that, obviously there was a lot of money available at the time within TDR. And they basically said, okay, go for it, set it up. So it started from real estate to operations, the sales teams, but also the marketing strategy in the beginning. It was really like you were managing a bit your own company, which was very fun. Also because there was the money to do so, and gradually it grew. And I must say that we also had quite a good lead management system at the time, a car manager, auto manager. I'm pretty sure that you know it, Martin,
No, yeah.
because it used to be
That's where we
your
got to
company.
know each other at. Indeed, my previous company where I met Miguel because Carnext.com was the biggest customer of that company, and indeed, the lead management part is where we've both got experience in that field. But what is also perhaps interesting to say, of course, if listeners hear Carnext.com, it sounds like an online concept, but in the end, you also managed showrooms. It was a combination, and where we had a very good flow of online to offline. So perhaps you can elaborate a bit on that. How many shops did you open, and how did that go?
Yeah, definitely. So indeed, it was omnichannel, as we called it that time. But the customer journey started online, and I think there was also a philosophy. It's a philosophy that I still believe in. It's a bit the Coolblue system, as I call it. Coolblue, obviously, they have their offline stores, but they are strongly present online. And I think with Carnext.com, we did the same. So we really guided the customers online, from online to maybe offline, but they could also stay online if they wanted. They could. That was also something innovative at the time, and you see it happening more and more. You could buy a car completely online at Carnext.com. And I still think that's quite cool because after a house, usually the car is the second biggest purchase in the history of someone's history, of someone's life. And just to do it online and put your trust in the company, in a young company at that time that you probably didn't know, and we succeeded. I think it was cool because that meant that with Carnext we created a lot of trust in a market that's not really known for having or putting a lot of trust in people, let's say. So that was very nice. But indeed, you also had the chance to go to one of our stores and buy a car in, let's say, a more regular showroom. So it was very important that the experience, the customer experience, which was already top notch in the online part, would also be top notch in the offline part. So I think that was a big challenge because at Carnext we had a central marketing team also. So of course you had a big say in how the online part went, but it was mainly done by specialists. And gradually you got more and more, let's say, focus on the offline part, at least from my perspective. So to make sure that that customer experience there was also very good. And
But if you look at the online part first, so indeed, I think the offline part was a very important aspect. So it couldn't have been a success without the offline experience. I think that the idea was that actually offline is only a delivery, and that everybody should be able to buy the car online and get it then delivered at home or at a delivery center. So that we actually, the management also called the stores a delivery center instead of a store. But I would say, actually, in practice, that the majority of the cars were sold in the store. That you get a lead, and then you, invite the customer to come over, and you sell the car then. But what I thought it was great about the online advertising of the cars of Carnext.com is that Carnext.com really invested in a great presentation of each car. So we had like 360 degrees pictures of every car. A very professional photo studio in every country. It were 23 countries where Carnext.com was rolled out. That we had the service history of each car on the car advertisement. So you could actually even see the service history. So that was quite unique to have such a detailed description of the car that even people asked, is that the real car? Because the pictures were so good. So for at the time, I think that Carnext.com was such an innovator and indeed had everything in-house to sell the cars online. But still, if you look at the main driver for sales, where did it come from? Is it site to lead and then lead to visit and that you then sell the car? Or how did you see it?
So obviously for the lead generation, we were highly dependent on the online channels. You saw also that via our own channels and via our own SEA, we got a lot of leads. Besides that, definitely in Belgium, you're highly dependent on AutoScout. AutoScout is the reference still in Belgium for let's say for looking for a car, for finding cars. But besides that, you also saw that the telephone was very important. The telephone and the mailbox, we got a lot of leads also there. And then you saw that the reaction of your own people was actually still the most important part. And we really focused on that. For me, that was a big focus point. Also, because the speed is of the essence. There's a lot of cars online. Definitely in the business where we were selling cars, we sold volume cars. So if we weren't quick enough, if our service wasn't good enough, they would go somewhere else. So the people and how the people behaved in the store and how they answered the phones and information that they gave to clients, for me, it was still crucial at the time. But sometimes it was just difficult to find the right information. So that posed some challenges.
If you talk about speed, how did you realize speed? Is that training of the team to train them to pick up leads quickly, or did you have systems in place like a call drip to immediately call a customer? How should I see it?
No, so from a lead management perspective, we had Auto Manager, which helped us greatly because we could see at which cars a customer looked before he sent us an email or a lead. We had all the information of this customer at fingertips, so that helped. But besides that, it was quite manual at the time, I would say. We figured out systems in between us, meaning that for the reaction time, for example, we always had one of our sales advisors who was sitting downstairs in our store in Aarslaat. We call that the cave because the only thing that he or she did was lock yourself up and focus on the phone, focus on the mailbox, focus, and also prioritization, because in a dealership there's always a million things to do and only so many people to do it. And we chose to put the customer first because we wanted to sell cars, and we truly believed that it would help establish us in the market that way as a trustworthy, goods, let's say, second-hand car dealer. So, yeah, we did it mainly manual at that time.
Yeah, you see a lot of leads because, of course, there was no AI at the time. So we'll talk about AI a bit later. But indeed, you already had a big step in the right direction because you had all leads centralized. I think indeed, well, now that you say it, one of the unique things we did with Auto Manager is that inventory and leads were in the same system, and that you could see per car that is advertised how many times is the car looked at, how many leads were generated, how many of those leads are still open. You could click through to then see the leads in the pipeline, but you could also do it the other way around. You can open a lead and then see which cars did this lead look at, and he perhaps reacted to a certain car, but you can see that he also looked at X other cars in your online showroom, so that you could actually also guide the person to another car because you know what was their behavior on the website. That was quite unique. So, and I'm sure actually in many systems you don't have that today. So it would be a recommendation I would have to lead management systems to actually show the customer journey that he was on before the lead was generated, so that you can see if the customer potentially also has interest in other cars that you have in stock. It will increase the chance that you sell a car.
Yeah, indeed. It helped also with the preparation of the cars, because if you knew that the customer was coming in looking for car one, but knowing that he also looked at a different car, it would also help us with the preparation of these cars, let's say physically, to have them spotless, so that, if they would want to look also at that car, that at least you're 100% prepared. So that was a great help indeed. Yeah,
exactly. And you then opened the stores in Belgium and one in Luxembourg, right?
yes, indeed. We opened a store in Borgmeerbeek, where our compound at the time was. We had the first store in Aarselaar, next to a big road. It was a beautiful, beautiful building with multiple stories, and actually, I think 300 cars, 350 cars would fit there, so it was quite huge. And then after a while, and that was for me also very fun, because I got to do the whole real estate part, A to Z, myself. We opened a store in Liège, in the French-speaking part of Belgium. Also a beautiful store. And I think that was 2021, I think, or 2020. I'm not sure. So by that time, also Carnext had shifted its vision a little bit. Meaning that we would not go for the AAA locations in terms of stores anymore. But we were starting to see more and more traction on the online part, and we started to notice that location matters, but it doesn't. The offline store location matters, but it matters not as much as we thought in the beginning. And I think that was also a very interesting finding, because nowadays everybody has Waze, everybody has Google Maps. So if your main, let's say, advertising is online, people will find you offline if they just have your address. And that was also a really interesting finding, and a bit of switch in the business model that Carnext had. It was also heavily influenced by Corona, obviously, because I still remember the day in March in 2020 when Corona broke out, and the stores had to close because we were not an essential store. But still, we had a couple of sales advisors who wanted to sell cars, but also clients who still needed cars at the time. And for me, that was probably the most interesting part of the journey at Carnext, because you were forced to think of good ways to deliver cars. And at that time, we actually managed to sell quite a bit of cars only online. So we actually guided leads online through through our marketing machine. We then had video calls with them. So we showed them the car virtually, like every scratch, everything of the car. We showed them the history, obviously, as well. And if they liked it, we could transport the car towards them, just on a trailer, a closed trailer sometimes as well. So it looked a bit like a present. That was really cool. And they could look at the car, do a small test drive at home. We sanitized the car, and if they would like it, obviously they would have to pay first before we delivered the car, but we would deliver it back to them. And that way, we still managed to sell some cars during a time that actually no one was able to come to your showroom.
Yeah, cool. So necessity is the mother of creativity. It's a friend of mine has taught me that, and that's very true. If the need is there, you'll find a way. But when Corona ended and the showrooms reopened, did you keep these processes, or did they disappear? Just like Corona.
They stayed. I must say, it was, of course, not 100% at the time, because people were happy to come out again and go back to the stores. But we saw, an increase that stayed. I think we had around 15% of the cars that were sold completely online. And then also a part which we called assisted online sales, where, let's say, people maybe once came to the showroom, and then we delivered the cars at their house later on. We also had that, but there was like an increased level of ease with which people bought cars online. And I still think that it's there today, but still we're still far away from 100% online sales at dealerships, I think.
Hey, before we hop back into the conversation, imagine an AI communication layer seamlessly connected to your internal systems, bringing your dealership's knowledge and tools together into one intelligent platform. Available for your customers and dealership employees, AutoChat transforms how you do business. With AutoChat Web, your customers enjoy an effortless experience. They can explore your inventory, find their perfect car using AI car search, and schedule service appointments all in just a few clicks. AutoChat turns your website into a powerful, customer-centric hub. And dang, boy, oh boy, do you know we love customer centricity here at AutoChat Pro. Empowers your dealership team by connecting them to the resources they need most, from brochures and price lists to real-time inventory data. It's never been easier to find relevant information and craft the perfect emails. So with AutoChat, your employees work smarter and faster, delivering the personalized service your customers expect. Now let me tell you about AutoChat messaging. Communication has never been easier. Engage with customers through their preferred channels, all managed in one place. Whether it's for follow-ups, appointment confirmations, or proactive updates, AutoChat ensures every interaction is smooth and professional. And guys, this is just the beginning. Imagine integrating voice capabilities into your AI ecosystem. AutoChat will soon bring its advanced features to your phone system, creating a seamless omnichannel customer experience. Pretty cool. Customer service is changing, we all know this, and AI is leading the way. Lots of conversations about that. So why not stay ahead of the curve and redefine what's possible with AutoChat? Discover more at autochat.ai and experience the future of customer communication today. All right, let's get back to this conversation with Martin.
It is a fact that the online showroom is the most important showroom because that's where you generate the leads and get them into your second most important showroom and do the deal. And
Exactly.
Some will even do it without coming to the store. But after Carnext, you went to Strom. But before we go to the Strom part, what's the number one thing you learned in the Carnext time that dealers could learn from Carnext, where you think everybody should be doing this?
Differentiate yourself from the other car dealers, and put your customer first, because I think all too often people also in car dealerships think too much internally to externally, meaning that they like to set up processes which suit them, and then think about your customers. But I always believe that if you put your customer first, I would not say drop everything behind it, but put your customer first, and give them an excellent experience. That is probably the best publicity that you can get to generate later on more leads. So
Because of the word of mouth, you actually also gain traction and sell more cars.
Google reviews, again, I think that is very important publicity that a lot of people can view. Google My Business pops up quite easily, and if you there have more than a 4.5 star, people just are attracted by that.
How can you get more of these reviews? Did you actively ask somebody to leave a review each time that they bought a car, or how should I see that?
Yeah, we made actually a game out of that. There was some sales advice. I think you should dare to ask, because I think it's nature of people to say something when it's bad, and it's more difficult to say something when something is good, because you think it's normal. So yes, our sales advisors, they dare to actively ask, and if someone is actually satisfied with their service, they are very, very happy to give it. And if you look at the reviews of Carnext still today, you see often very much personal messages to certain sales advisors with name and last name, and I just think that's really nice, because that means that they got a personal service, and that the client actually enjoyed how they were treated at the stores.
And that's important indeed. You even see in America, I've seen that some sales consultants of car sales people, they have their own website, they have their own branding, they make a brand out of themselves to say, okay, buy a car from me. And I think that's actually quite valid, because you buy from a person, and if you get the word of mouth from that, it benefits the customer and also the dealer. And good advice. So, but when you left Carnext, you actually you stayed in the car business, but you went to Strom as the operational officer as well. So can you tell a bit what Strom is and what it does?
Yeah, sure. So Strom is one of the bigger players in the Belgian market when it comes to the installation of charging infrastructure. I think you have two streams in installers of charging infrastructure. You have on the one hand the Fastnets, the Total Energies, and the big DC charging players. And on the other hand, you have a couple of very good companies who mostly install, let's say, charging infrastructures at the lease riders at home. So if you get a lease car nowadays in Belgium, it's obviously heavily subsidized. So most people have to drive electric today, which is not a punishment, by the way. It's a joy, and you know that as well. And so you get a charging charger at your home as well. And that's actually where Strom specialized at the time. So I joined Strom in early 2022, and I was indeed the operations director. So that meant that I was responsible for a lot of things. So customer service, but also for procurement, for the installation teams, and so on. So it was quite a broad job. But when I started, I think we were only 15 or 18 people. So it was a rather small company, but with big dreams of becoming one of the biggest installers in Belgium. And I must say that's partly due to the fact that the business is heavily subsidized, but also partly due to the fact that I think we just had a good team. We grew quite rapidly, meaning that we had a lot of big customers, and I think Strom at the time was quite small, but we had a very, very big Belgian companies as customers. And obviously, if they have a few hundreds of lease riders, and they all need in a very short time, a charger at home, it can go quite fast. And that's actually also what it did. We grew, I think, up to 70, 75 people or something like that in 2.5 years' time. And that was also quite a challenge from a system perspective, from onboarding new people perspective also. But it was really challenging. I liked the job very much, and we brought it to quite a good level, and also it's still a business where there's a lot of opportunities to be taken. It's still wide open, and it was also nice to see that we could work on some really innovative solutions within this charging area. It was obviously closely related also to the whole electricity markets and all these kind of things. So yes, it was automotive, but in my opinion, it was more electricity related. You had the automotive clients, but the business itself was not that much related to the pure automotive as I knew it at Carnext.
You missed that a bit.
I did in the end. Yeah, I definitely did.
We actually we have now that I think of it, how you came to work for AutoChat was also quite a funny way. Is that actually a headhunter reached out to me to ask a review of somebody that I used to work together with, and it was Miguel Michiels. And if I what I thought of Miguel, and I thought, is Miguel in the market? Let's give Miguel a call, because then I'd like him at the AutoChat team, and that's how it happened. You ended up at the AutoChat team, so I'm very lucky that he reached out to me to have you in our team now. So could you explain what you're currently doing at AutoChat and what your role is and
Yeah, definitely. I think it's threefold. So on the one hand, I'm also busy with the financial part of the business, everything regarding, let's say, our cash flow and where we should go in that perspective. But I'm mainly working on the product together with our development team. That's the second pillar, and the third pillar is actually the onboarding and the implementation of AutoChat at new customers. And actually also following up existing customers. And I must say that these the second and the third pillar, they're also closely together, because by talking to a lot of our customers, you're starting to feel where the needs are in terms of what they want from our product and what they would like to have in the future from our product. So I think these two are closely related, and they also help me and probably also you, Martin, to translate the needs in our customer group and to translate into usable functionalities in our AutoChat product.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's important. You can't think of all the features to build from the office here. You really need to talk to customers, and it's very interesting to see what kind of problems they are facing. And but perhaps not everybody knows AutoChat when they're listening to this car dealership podcast. Can you explain in elevator pitch, what does AutoChat do?
Yeah, definitely. What AutoChat does is we deliver an AI communication layer on top of the existing systems of a dealer. So that means that we do not want to be a lead management system. We do not want to be a workplace planner or a system for digital work orders. No. What we do is, or what we did is actually we created a large language model specifically for the automotive retail. It's fine-tuned for automotive retail, and we actually augment this model with data that is available within all these systems that I just talked about: lead management systems, workplace systems, digital work orders, maybe also knowledge management systems. Or even, let's say, data that's coming directly from some importers. What we do is we connect with this data, we put a communication layer on top of that, and we actually communicate with your customers via different channels. So on the one hand, we have a web client where you can talk to AutoChat. We also are working on a WhatsApp solution, and we do not only communicate externally but also internally, and that is something that we do via AutoChat Pro, which is an interface for the internal, for example, client contact employee, where he or she can also have a lot of insight into all the data that is available at the dealership, and where they otherwise may not know where to find it. But through our integrations, they have insight in that.
So we have now the website, so for internal use, messaging for WhatsApp, and there's also more plans. So could you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So obviously there's more communication channels, and what we see is we started from web with this, which is already a good channel, because people obviously go to the website. They see, let's say, a bubble, a chat bubble, where they can talk to a virtual employee, as we call it. That's good. But there's a lot more communication channels that are being used within the dealership. So indeed, we were talking about WhatsApp messaging, as we call it, and right now we're looking into mail. So we would like to take over also the emails and propose answers to emails to internal employees, that they can easily just check, okay, is this accurate based on the data that we're linked with, and then send out an email like that. And let's say our North Star, our end goal, is also to go to the telephone. And for that, we need the large language models to be completely in place. because through these large language models, you can also use voice. And if you want to have a good example of that, I would advise you to try the advanced voice functionality that you, for example, have in your OpenAI app in your phone. It works really well. You can. I sometimes find myself in the car having conversations with ChatGPT. And at a certain moment, you almost forget that you're talking to an AI instead of to a human. So it's becoming really good, and that's actually the way that we're headed to.
You hear a lot when we show that also to customers. Because we had a hackathon a few months ago where we also looked at the voice capabilities, but definitely when you show also voice within the app, you get a lot of wow and amazing. And I think in the end, that's also how you could say it. We're in the amazing business because it's really cool what you can see. And but if you look at the customers, it are mainly dealer groups, and now also the first OEMs are starting with it. But what's the main driver for dealer groups to start using a solution like AutoChat?
I see two main drivers, and one of the main drivers is lead generation. With AutoChat, you are online 24/7, and we talked earlier about, let's say, the online marketing that we did at Carnext. You cannot believe how many leads or how many conversations or how many people try to call or talk to you after hours. And there's no one available. With AutoChat, you have someone available 24/7 to book appointments, to give information on inventory, and all these kind of conversations can be held outside of opening hours. And also lead generation conversationally through an AI, which is trained to do sales conversations. Yeah, it works. Or imagine that you would like to schedule a workshop appointment, and you are presented with all these different options. The AI can actually explain you what option you should take. We also had this at the hackathon where one of our developers showed this to us, and he said, "Yeah, my car is doing vroom vroom. Which job should I take?" And it said, "You need this or this diagnosed," and it can also assist you in choosing the right job for your workplace, for your workshop appointment, which will also increase, let's say, the likelihood of creating a lead, because the customer is well informed to take a decision to go for a workshop visit. So that's one thing.
So one thing, lead generation, and then the other.
Yeah, the other is internal efficiency. And you see that a lot of dealerships, and I also know that from my period at Carnext, they're faced with, as we call it, non-billable hours. Those are hours and work that employees put in, but you cannot put an invoice against that. And obviously you want to have these hours as low as possible. And how can you do that? That's mainly through automation. So that means if you can, let's say, let the AI do a lot of repetitive tasks that employees nowadays have to do. AI takes them over. Where does that lead to? Employees who can do the more complex task and do tasks that either add more value to the dealer, or that can possibly generate revenue. So actually, we do think that the second thing, creating efficiency and reducing the non-billable hours, we see that it usually outweighs let's say, even the lead generation benefits.
Mm-hmm.
It can save you a lot of money within a dealership.
But it's indeed one way is generating quality leads. That saves you time already. If the lead quality goes up, it's also better to follow up on those leads, and your conversion only increases. Even the satisfaction or mental wealth of your team will increase, because it's you take away repetitive tasks, what nobody likes. But it also working on efficiency and automating saves a lot of hours. And I think we were discussing this week about one of our customers. We won't mention the name, but it's like an average dealer holding in the Netherlands, who are now using the AutoChat platform on different channels. So they use Pro for their customer contact center. They use Web for the website automation. They'll soon use also the WhatsApp functionality. And what you see, the amount of hours that they have saved and how much efficiency gains they have received within 1 year is actually incredible, because every year it will return that efficiency. You can handle more volume with less people. And I think for this average dealer group, they are saving already millions if you look at it every year. And what I now heard from you, you were with this customer looking at the call reasons and also the WhatsApp functionality to see how much more efficiency could we bring to them. And I think your what was now the percentage that you could even improve now within 1 year?
40% additionally, and indeed we 40, and we already improved quite a lot for them last year, but this year with AutoChat alone over the different channels, we believe that we can do an additional 40%. So
incredible.
Yeah, that's where the big gains are currently.
Yeah. So indeed, lead generation, efficiency gains, and saving time, saving money, and it's really a game changer. And it's also necessary because margins are shrinking, and also an electric car doesn't require a lot of service, so you'll need to service more cars. But you don't want to increase your team size. And of course, one of the things that you could now ask, okay, is this then replacing jobs? How do you see it? Is it replacing jobs, or should you look at it differently?
I think you should look at it differently. It's on the one hand a way to make your workforce work more efficiently, and something that you experience a lot and also hear a lot currently at dealers is that they have their hands full with telephony, with mails, and with all these kind of things, and that they don't get to the most important things, or that they cannot follow up leads properly. And that impacts the customer experience highly. So I believe that implementing AI is becoming a necessity to make sure that you stay competitive in the market, and also to make sure that you have a happy workforce, because they will be spared from all the repetitive tasks, and they can actually focus on interesting tasks, on maybe also more fun tasks, because these repetitive tasks you can easily automate. So I don't think it's necessarily taking jobs away. I'm thinking that it's mainly creating happier employees who are supported by a good virtual employee who will actually do all the less interesting jobs for them. So I think it will soon create a lot of happy employees at the dealerships,
and also happy customers, I hope. So it's
and
a win-win.
Also happy customers. Yeah, exactly. Indeed.
So it is indeed. I'm at the moment reading a book about AI, and I think what they state there is I think a very valid point. AI is they call it a buzzword. I don't think it's just buzz. It's delivering real value. It's tremendous, and it will only grow. And one of the things that was in this book is to not make the mistake to look at AI as a computer system. Look at it, treat it as an employee, treat it as a person. And if you get people in your team, you also need to train them, and you need to tell them how your business treats customers, how certain questions are answered, etc. Do the same with your AI employee. See it as an employee, because it will also listen, and you can steer, and you can you can constantly increase the level of the answers. And that's something that's quite critical, because if you look at definitely customer contact centers, that many people who start there, they don't survive a long time because they just don't like the job. And if you take away the repetitive, boring tasks and let the AI do that, so that the more interesting stuff remains, it's indeed a time saver, and you will need less people and you can handle more volume with less people, but the people who do it are actually staying longer. So it's really a revenue, a profit driver for automotive retail. So I think how I would say it is the future of automotive retail is automation.
Yeah, I do believe that. And I think that what you're saying now, indeed, the training of the AI, that's something that we're currently very busy with. I'm really happy that we work on a focused market, being the automotive retail. And so let's say in the backend, currently we're working very hard to create an AI team member for dealers who is specifically focused on everything that has to do with automotive retail. We're training the model towards automotive retail to feed it also with the right knowledge, so that indeed our dealers get an employee, a top performer, so to say, if they take AutoChat on board. And there's definitely some nice developments coming up on our side.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that perhaps to round this up, because we're almost at 45 minutes, I see. The future is that we are working on these language models, and that we will soon launch Nova AI. It's quite cool to see what your team is doing, and also the last 10 months working hard on creating Nova. And so I think that the listeners now have a good view of what we can do today. And it would be quite interesting to see in a few months to do another recording and to see about the launch of Nova and what it did, and what latest developments are. Because each time when you look half a year back, so much has happened. So it would be quite cool to, after the summer, to do a new recording and to talk a bit about Nova language model, and let the market know what the results are.
Yeah, so, definitely.
Yeah. So thank you for your participation. One last question. If people want to reach you, what is the best way to do that?
I think it's through miguel.michiels@autochat.ai. That's my email. But you can always find me on my LinkedIn profile as well. I'm always happy to make a connection and to have a chat if you're up for that.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, and speak to you next time, and actually speak to you sooner, but definitely again after the summer, also in the Car Dealership podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Maarten.